Hey, it's Wendy from Willa Wanders, and I'm back with another YouTube video. This time I'm going to be talking about sidekick journals because there seems to be quite a bit of interest in what is a sidekick journal and what is the potential for a sidekick journal. So I'm just going to go through it, show you guys the history of my sidekick journal, tell you why I'm very excited about this, and maybe you'll decide to start your own sidekick journal. So I learned about sidekick journals from Seth Apter when I took an in-person live workshop in Cleveland, Ohio, pre-pandemic, or I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't even remember. It was around the pandemic time. Okay, guys, I'm getting old, so I don't remember. So anyway, I just whacked my leg against the side of the table. So he put in my head this idea of a sidekick journal because Seth has the most beautiful sidekick journals. But every artist is different. I'm not Seth Apter. I'm never going to make art just like Seth Apter does. But the idea of a sidekick stayed with me. So what a sidekick is it is a book journal, usually not a huge one, but it could be any size you want, that you keep next to you as you're doing all of your other art projects. And then all of the excess pigment, detritus from your desk, extra collage fodder, extra anything can go into this journal. But it can be even more than that. So let's talk about that. So my first full sidekick journal, I created and started really using heavily in Fodder School 4, which was last year. And I'll just flip through this as I kind of talk you through what goes into my sidekick journals. So another point to note is you can make a sidekick journal by hand, but you could also use a commercially made just blank book for your sidekick journal. So I happen to have a journaling class online called the Willa Journals course. And this cover right here is what I call a Willa journal cover. You can make them any size. They're semi-flexible, semi-soft, semi-not soft. They're the perfect journal cover. The inside of your sidekick journal could be all blank pages. It could be all extra collage fodder, like extra sheets of painted papers, extra paper, like this piece of paper was just a piece of mulberry paper that I've been holding on to for 30 years that ended up in this book. Or it can be what I call virgin paper. So let me show you what virgin paper is so you have an idea of what virgin paper is. I mean, I think you probably get it from the word, but what I call virgin paper is just paper that you buy in a pack or a ream, and it's been untouched by any kind of anything. And I use the term virgin paper in conjunction. I use the term virgin paper to show you the difference between a paper that has some type of treatment on it. In this case, this was excess paper that got converted down, and this paper came from jelly printing, just kind of the side paper that you roll your brayer off on. In fact, this is deli paper that also looks like it came from a jelly printing session. So I have a lot of papers, like a huge amount of papers that are just extra papers from collage fodder processes, and they all end up being converted down into possible pages for books. Okay, so between the virgin paper and all of the extra collage fodder that I have, and extra commercial paper, and extra mulberry paper, and just all of the variety of papers that anyone could collect as a mixed media artist, old book pages, old music sheets, maps, just everything. This is packing paper from boxes of things that I've ordered. All of that extra paper and all of your virgin paper, this was a virgin paper, they can all be converted down and put into your sidekick journal. Now, this is what the beauty of a sidekick journal is. So here I want to explain the beauty of it. So when people start art journaling, oftentimes they get a book that's full of virgin paper, meaning, again, they are going to have a book that is going to have pages like this with nothing on them. And they're going to go, oh, I have to like come up with a concept, start from scratch, learn a whole bunch of techniques, and then I'm going to apply this to my virgin paper. So that is a very different process. A lot of people love doing that. I'm not here to knock it. That's a great way to go if that's your artistic personality type. It just happens that that does not work for me. I do much better when I start with a background that I even did not intentionally put on here. So let's talk about that difference. You could go through a journal and you could do a series of intentionally messy backgrounds. That's also a perfectly fine way to work. And that's probably something I would be more likely to do than I would to just work on, let's say, starting from scratch with nothing. But in my case, where I get my messy backgrounds from is from the process of making other things. So if I'm doing jelly printing, not only do I have under paper that's covering my desk to protect it, but I also have my sidekick journal right there. And when I have extra paint on my brayer, I'm going to rub that paint off onto either the under paper, or more likely these days, I'm going to rub a lot of that paint onto pages in my book. And this kind of thing becomes a background when all of a sudden I see something or I hear something and I want to record it. Like in this case, I wanted to record smile, see miracles in life everywhere. And I just found a messy background in my book and I hand lettered that onto this page. So are you starting to get the beauty of a sidekick journal? Is it happening for you? So here's another example of another thing that often happens. So I work with a lot of stamps, mostly stamps that are called foam stamps made by this company that I work really closely with called Art Foamies, who I love. And when I'm stamping Art Foamies onto paper, because maybe I'm making a series of collage fodder, when you've stamped it out, you have excess ink on the foamy that you have to discharge onto paper. So instead of discharging it onto paper that I would throw away, I can discharge the extra ink on my art foamy right into my journal. So here's a situation where I discharged that stamp ink onto a messy background. Here we have, I went in with lettering on these lines. These lines probably got in here because I had extra paint on something and I was just pounding it on there. And after it dried one day, I was just like, oh, I'm going to put some hand lettering in there. Here's a piece of collage fodder that I glued in there. I colored in where the art foamy stamp was. Here's another art foamy stamp that I was just putting the extra color on. So here's a sticker that was sent to me by an artist. She sent me a bunch of her sticker sheets. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. This is Cynthia Frenette. And I was like, I got to put that in my journal. So you can just find a place for it where it looks really good. This was me practicing drawing faces in Fodder School 4 with Angela Kennedy. Here's a piece of collage fodder. Here's me doodling. Here's excess sticker that I had from a, let's see, Fodder Challenge 2024 lesson. Here's me lettering. Here's me doodling. Here's me doodling. Here's me putting dots on. And they just develop. And the thing about pages like this is there's no real beginning and there's no end. I could keep working in this journal. Like I absolutely could work on this quote, grief and mourning are a process. Like this is just the beginning of something. I wrote it down, I heard it somewhere. But really what I'm looking at right now is I want to go in And I want to grab my white gel pen. And this is so meditative. I just want to outline each of the letters. It's really a slow process. It's not hard if you slow down, and it puts me pretty much immediately into flow state, which means it totally quiets my monkey mind. It gets rid of all the noise that's going on in there, and I become one with me and this paint pen and this paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can miss. I don't care. I like the way that looks. I love the way it looks imperfect. I love messy. So I'll go back. I'll finish that, but I don't want to bore you on the video. But that is just pure pleasure for me. If I have something I want to just journal about, I can journal in here. If I've got extra collage fodder, I'm going to glue it in here. Now I'm remembering, this is kind of funny, I'm remembering a project that I started. I forgot about this. This was an idea that I had for a fodder challenge project. And it turned out that we ended up doing a fodder challenge project that's actually somewhat similar to that. That's funny. Okay, funny, funny, funny. All right, here's where I stamped, just writing words with Posca pen, gluing on collage fodder that I made. You can see I do a lot of hand lettering. So hand lettering is definitely something that I have been doing my entire life. And artistic hand lettering is definitely, what can I say? It's just a very natural thing for me. And so with art journaling, the beauty of art journaling is that you get to gravitate toward the types of art making that have always come absolutely naturally to you. And you just get to spontaneously add those types of marks, or hand lettering in my case, or gluing on fussy cut collage fodder, which I also love to make fussy cut collage fodder. That's just any image that's cut out and waiting for you to stick it somewhere. I love stamping. This was challenging for me. This was a Fodder School lesson, but guess what? I rocked it in my journal. I'm really happy with how that came out. So, okay, not every page is something I'm super proud of. This I love. This was a tag sent to me in a tag exchange. And I made a pocket for it with a piece of an envelope that came also in that exchange. But you can kind of maybe see the repetitive things that I do. A lot of stamping, a lot of lettering, a lot of mark making, and a lot of coloring in on messy backgrounds. No one can even read this. No one can read that. So, okay. So this is, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I probably have a YouTube video where I show the whole thing. I'm not even sure if I do or I don't. Anyway, this was me fussy cutting out some paint that I had just rubbed off onto a sheet of paper. And then I was like, oh, wow, you cut them out and then they become perfect little journaling cards. I could even develop those further. Those are so cute. Man, there's so many good ideas in here. That's another thing. Things just spontaneously happen. They become great ideas for you to repeat or show other people. So, okay. Again, I don't want to take this gigantic walk through memory lane in here, but this is definitely on par with the best journals I've ever made. And it's because I'm not thinking too hard about it. I'm not going for any kind of perfection. I'm sticking things in here that other people send me. I'm sticking things in here that are experiments, like all of, again, I was learning how to draw the faces, learning how to do the shading. And I put in all the tests and it worked out really beautifully. Okay, so that was Sidekick Journal number 1. I pretty much filled the whole thing up. And then we were at the end of Fodder School 4, and I was like, okay, I need to make myself another Sidekick journal. And we had the perfect lessons at the end of Fodder School 4 where we were working with fabrics. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take the excess fabrics that came out of that process, and I'm going to construct another journal. And so this journal is not difficult to make. And it has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5 signatures in a fabric cover. This is not a Willa journal cover. This is much more flexible. I thought, you know what, let me just try to do something a little different, but I really do prefer the Willa journal covers. But I really like how this looks, and I really like the cover, and every signature has a signature wrap made of canvas that was hand painted. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna letter on there because it's perfect for that. And then I just started rubbing off excess paint and excess stamps. This is a stamp from Art Foamies. This is a stamp from Art Foamies. This is actually, the day I'm recording this is the day we are releasing this set to the world from Sharon Brandon. And you'll see in here, there's still a lot of virgin paper, and there's a lot of excess collage fodder, excess pieces of paper. This is a brand new Sidekick for me. So it's not going to look brand new, right? Because a lot of the papers that go in here already are, you know, developed with something on there, excess painted papers. But you're going to start to see, okay, some real work in here, some real art journaling work. So this piece I did in Fodder Challenge 2025, which just ended a week ago. This was a lesson from Dory Patrick. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to do that whole entire collage, or sorry, I'm going to do that whole entire Fodder Challenge lesson right in my Sidekick journal. In fact, there's probably a case to be made that anything that we do in Fodder School, you could do in a Sidekick journal. If you were like, oh, I don't want to make a piece for my wall, I just want to use those techniques and use them in my journal, you can do everything on a smaller scale and do it right in a journal. So this looks like this got paint from some process in the background where I was just rubbing the paint off. And then I went in there, stop saying them, judge individual people, not groups. And I put that in the journal, look for good. Here's my signature wraps, which I added when I was constructing the book. I added trims. I love vintage trims. Here's more paper that got paint rubbed off. Here's more excess papers. This is just a commercial paper that was from my printing company that I owned 20 years ago now. Here's more jelly printed, excess paper, virgin paper, mulberry paper. So this is kind of a funny story. Remember when mulberry paper was all the rage like 30 years ago for scrapbooking? Well, I had a bunch of it and I decided to cut it down and maybe try to incorporate it into my journals. And in fact, I love this piece of mulberry paper. This color is like right up my alley. So anyway, so it ended up in this book. And then we had this lesson with Susan Rossiter in Fodder Challenge 2025. And she had us using mulberry paper as part of her process. And I completely forgot about the fact that I have mulberry paper, which is funny. But when I then was looking through this journal, I was like, oh, there's mulberry paper in there. So if I ever do want to use this, I could just literally cut it off. Because actually, I think I should do that because I love this and I would love to make the project from that challenge lesson using some of these mulberry papers in colors that I really love. So this is a mixed media messy paper, which is an incredibly fun process, like insanely fun. This is just under paper that I tore up. Here's an Art Foamy stamp that I put the excess ink in there. This is from jelly printing that I think we did in probably Fodder School 1. Here's under paper. Okay, here's virgin paper. that on one side got a lot of extra matte acrylic paint from one of the Fodder Challenge 2025 lessons. So this is like ripe. This is ripe for lettering. Okay, more under paper, jelly printed paper, under paper, messy paper, because that's the other side of all those. Virgin paper. Again, you're seeing all the same stuff. Okay. This was actually a project, a whole entire project in the Fodder Challenge where we learned how to make these envelopes with Karen Elaine. So we did we did alcohol ink work in Fodder Challenge 2025. And then Karen taught us some more techniques for alcohol ink with stencils. And then Karen is a folding aficionado, and she taught us how to make these folded envelopes. And then, of course, I was like, oh my gosh, I am going to put messages in my pockets. So this is actually paper that I hand painted with acrylic paint so that I could color the paper myself and put colors on there that I wanted to. Because I like to have a lot of paper around that I've hand colored. So anyway, I don't know if I'll ever do anything with this, but I have these little clips and I was able to clip this in. You're going to see later on that I took another one of these and I just mounted it in here. So you could staple this in. There's so many ways to mount things. Again, same stamp, a lot of excess ink in here. Like this is gorgeous. This will get something eventually that'll really make it nice. One day I was just, I'm going to take my black pen and start making lines, just repetitive lines for relaxation. And yeah, more excess paint on here, then hand lettering. The externalities of turning attention into shareholder value is rage. That was from Scott Galloway. Do yourself a huge favor and start believing that nothing is too good for you. Okay, balance is a myth. Look for harmony. So these flowers were made in Fodder Challenge 2025, which just ended, with Susan Rossiter. She was the artist that I said had us working with mulberry paper, but I forgot I had mulberry paper, so I just used what I had. And I fell in love with this process of making these flowers, and I'm going to make lots of them, keep them right on my desk, right in my circle of reach, and use them in my art journal when I want to record something. So we started having Zooms in Fodder School where the solo topic is just organization. And there's a lot of really good, I call it thought fodder. It's ideas. It's like food for your brain. It's things you want to think about. It's stuff you want to remember. So a lot of my work in my journals is really about these thought fodder things that I collect. It's not for everybody. Not everybody likes that kind of thing, but I do. I really like thought fodder. So that's what I use my journals for. I record not only my own thoughts, but other people's thoughts that I find are really helpful. Here's me testing out Sharon's new stamps. Yep, this was all me testing out Sharon's stamps. Oh, and I bought a whole bunch of, not dilutions. I bought a whole bunch of Ranger archival ink pads in different colors. I had previously been mostly using black and brown ink pads, and I thought, you know what, let me get some aquas, some greens, some pinks, and I wanted to try them out. I got them from Ranger, and I was just using the Sharon stamp set for that. More jelly printed paper and me just doodling. Here's more excess paint from a lesson in the challenge. I think this is gorgeous. Almost in and of itself, this is so beautiful. Here was me just trying something out. I just got a new inkjet printer and I wanted to see if I put gel medium on it, would the ink run? And it didn't. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. That was a quote from Liz Constable in one of our invitation to play sessions. This was some collage fodder that I made a long time ago that is so pretty. It was from the original 100 Days of Collage Fodder, and that's what ended up launching Fodder School. And I'm so happy that 5 years later, I'm seeing these papers in a journal that is becoming beloved by me. This is extra like practice watercolor sheets from probably 7 years ago. Excess paint. Play like a kid. No expectations, no pressure. It's all about discovery, breadcrumbs, work on more than one page at once. That seems like quotes from an invitation to play session. Okay, here is me just doodling, just taking a new pen that actually, I'll show you this because this is kind of fun. So Arlena, one of our Fodder School 5 instructors, lives in Shanghai, and she sent me a gift. She went really out of her way to send this to me. And the brand is TWSBI, if that's even possible. TWSBI. Anyway, it's a really cool refillable pen because I go through a lot of pens. So it's a fountain pen that you refill, and it really does make really nice lines, and you don't have to keep buying pens. You could just refill it with your own black ink. So anyway, I thought this was really cool, and I've been loving using it. So, okay, I think you get what a sidekick journal is. It's nothing that I'm really deliberately trying to fill up. It's happening on accident, but it's happening in a beautiful way that's very meaningful for me and very fun for me and very low stress for me, because I don't want to stress out about making art. Okay, allow people to have their moods and allow these moods to have nothing to do with you. Loved that quote. You are human sunshine. This is a lot of just extra paint from working in Fodder Challenge. Yeah, I mean, these are like perfect messy backgrounds as starter pages for journaling. The mess is where the magic happens. That was a quote that came out of our sessions with organizing, or our sessions with Marianne in Fodder School 5, where we talk about organizing. So I'm going to record. If I love what someone says, I want to keep that so that I don't forget it. Under paper. This probably came off of a jelly print that didn't work out. More definitely some type of jelly printing. So also there's a lot of like possibilities for pockets. This is a paper. I did not make this. I bought this at Paper Source a long time ago, and I love it. And I was like, you know what? I could cut that down, and that would make a nice journaling card. So yeah, nice journaling card there. This was definitely excess paint from something I was doing. Yeah, you see it here. See it here. I love this color green. I know it's freaky, but I love it. Jelly printed paper, more virgin paper. Another one of those things that Dory Patrick taught us how to do in Fodder Challenge 2025. I should do another one of these like ASAP. That was so much fun. Okay, here was a jelly printed paper that I was like, oh, there's all these sections. Like it was perfect for just putting in all these words and thoughts. Asking myself a little question there. Last 2 years have been rough for everybody. Definitely not just me, or yeah, they've been rough for everybody. All right, so this was excess paint again from Fodder Challenge. This was from a series of collage fodder that I had fussy cut from designs from Sarah Gardner at GCS Art, and she had a Art Foamies release in conjunction with Fodder School, And the quote, "You are the center of your creative universe," was something that Marianne said that came out of our discussions about organizing and how to develop a system for organizing. Okay, this is like the piece de resistance. This was the Lessons in Fodder Challenge 2025 from Sarah Gardner, where she used her Artful Me's release. She taught a soup to nuts mixed media lesson in how to make a journal pocket and how to do art journal pages. And all of these quotes were done with Artful Me stamps that are Sarah's designs. And then we made these journaling cards. And of course, I had to use them for quotes. This is a really good one. You'll never be this age again. Do what makes you happy. I still have room on some of these. I did not fill them with quotes. Someone out there feels better because you exist. And then I have two more that have room for more quotes. So these are called journaling cards. Sarah taught us the whole process of how to do that. And of course, I did it in my sidekick journal. I mean, how fantastic is that? This journal is just as amazing as that journal, and I'm only just getting started with this. And I've got all year to fill it up with all of our Fodder School projects and all the excess paint and the excess stamps and just excess collage fodder. And there's more extra paint. It develops without stress, which is what I most need out of my art. I never want to have to think too hard or stress out about it. It's just, that's what I need from my art. I'm unique like that. Or maybe not. Maybe you're like that too. This is under paper. So think of a sidekick journal, not unlike your under paper. So here's under paper where it got all this extra paint rubbed off on it, and it got extra ink from rubber stamps that I had used for something, and then I had to unload the extra ink onto something. So I unloaded it onto the under paper, and then that under paper got ripped up and folded and put into this book. So it develops into layers and gorgeousness. This was from Fodder School 1 with Rebecca Chapman. This is from brayering off acrylic paint. This is also from jelly printing sessions, white on white. I was trying to see if that would be cool, but I was putting excess paint on here. That's what I say, trying to see if something was cool. I wasn't thinking in my head, ooh, I'm going to try white paint on white paper. No, I had the white paint on a stamp or on my jelly plate, and then I put the whole journal onto my jelly plate. So, oh yeah, this is vellum. Oh my God, this is so funny. We are using vellum right now in Fodder School. I forgot all about this. I have some vellum in my stash. From the scrapbooking days, 30 years ago or 25 years ago. Anyway, I probably have owned every art supply that exists at some point or the other and then forgotten that I had them. So, okay, that's it. That is stage 2.5 of sidekick journaling. So stage 1 was like make the journal. Stage 2 was start working in the journal. Stage 2.5 is like, I've got some real finished spreads in here. We are in stage 2.5, and we will go all the way through stage 10 over the course of Fodder School 5, and we'll see how it develops. So, all right, thank you for watching. I'm Wendy from Willa Wanders. You can find me on Instagram at willa.wanders. You can go to my website, willawanders.com, where we have amazing, amazing mixed media art classes, watercolor painting classes, bookmaking courses, just soup to nuts, this kind of art, amazing teachers, amazing classes. And yeah, and we just started Fodder School 5 and just had an amazing fodder challenge, and knock on wood, I feel very blessed. So thank you for watching. I hope you had fun. I hope you made art while you watched this. and just enjoyed my walk down Sidekick Lane. Thank you so much.